hello, hello. Welcome back to Blurbs N Verbs. I am Chanel Spellman-Timmons. I'm so excited today. I'm so excited because I have this gorgeous person here with me as I'm going to be talking about something super, super special to me. Welcome back, y'all. If you have not checked out my first video, just to kind of introduce this space, let you know how and why Blurbs and Verbs came to be, please go back and check out that video. But for now, we are here. And again, I'm Chanel Spellman-Timmons. I'm the author of the book that we will be discussing today. And on your screen is my amazing partner, who I couldn't think of a better person to host the first interview
Oh,
of my book baby, because you've been there like around for the whole entire journey. I mean, if you've been my main and loudest champion of actually getting a book written. So I'm so excited that you agreed to interview me, and you're just an amazing podcast host and interviewer.
thank you.
So I wouldn't want to ask anyone else to do this. So without further ado, my love, I'm going to actually turn this over to you
Okay.
so that you can host this session.
All right. Well, I am so excited myself because my goodness, to finally be able to have this incredible conversation with you. So, first, let me introduce myself. For those of you who don't know, I am Causha Spellman-Timmons. I am the partner of Chanel and also the host of the Liberation Sessions, a fresh take on mental health, healing, and justice, which is a podcast that if you haven't checked out, please go over there and check out. So I am grateful to my love, Chanel, for allowing me to kind of take over Blurbs and Verbs today, um, to ask some questions that I have been waiting to ask for so many years. So y'all, this is a whole other podcast, but we've been together for 20 plus years.
Yeah, I've been.
And Chanel has started so many books, started writing so many books in that time. And I kept saying, like, my love, you gotta finish. Like, you gotta finish something, you gotta finish something. But I also understand that you have to feel called to
Right.
complete something. So when this book, now known as Synchrony, came to you in the ways that it was, I was like, this is the one. This is the one that's gonna finish. And then it was like slow moving a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, no, no." And then you gave yourself a deadline. And when you
Yeah.
gave yourself a deadline, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, okay. So I am so deeply, deeply honored to be holding space for this conversation today. I have some, it's not going to be long. Well, that'll be up to you and your answers, but y'all know this is close to my heart. It's personal. Chanel is such an extraordinary storyteller that I have been in relationship with for 20 plus years. And I am just so grateful that those of you who have not had an opportunity to witness Chanel's storytelling and curation of storytelling, rhythm, and soul. That's what it feels like to me. I look for soul in everything.
Aw.
So I'm so excited to be talking about this. What I can now say, forthcoming book. Forthcoming book, Synchrony. I do wanna say I have some notes, and I wanna say that this is not just an interview today. This is a celebration of voice, of timing, of transformation, of your Chanel's unique gift that I am so excited the world will now get to find out about. So, welcome, my love. Welcome to me. Welcome to us. I'm so glad to be here. And I wanna
Aw.
start with something that seems simple, but is also just so sacred, and that is, how does it feel to be birthing Synchrony right now?
Oof. How does it feel to be birthing Synchrony right now? Um, mm, a whole bunch of things run through my head. Excited, I think, right, is the first thing that comes up. Exciting, surreal.
Mm.
Um, it's writing a book, like completing a whole book has been something I've wanted to do now for I think I've been thinking about it since I was 7, but I didn't put words to it until I was 9. But such a long time. Very surreal. A little terrifying, honestly.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a little scary. I think when you sit on something for so long, you have so much time to think on it, and almost, I think, to talk yourself out of doing it. So, the fact that I did not do that finally, like, I stopped doing that and kind of got out of my own way, it feels scary to me to now hand this over to the public for the public consumption, I think. It's an interesting emotion to navigate. But I think right now and usually, I think excited. Excited to share all that's been in here and in here for this whole time. I'm
Mm.
excited to get the story out, excited for folks to meet these characters and to fall in love with and loathe some of these characters as deeply as I do. Yeah, that's how it feels.
I love that, and I was gonna ask a follow-up, but you answered it. So I'm going to say, let's go back to the beginning because
Okay.
all of that sounds incredible, and I'm gonna come back to that question at the end
Okay.
because based on your questions and the conversation, it might shift. But I wanna hear, where did the seed from Synchrony come from? If you're even able to put words to it.
Um
Was there, like, a specific moment, experience, a dream? What let you know that this was something you needed to do, that needed to be born?
So it definitely came to me in a dream, and I feel like
Okay.
a lot of writers that happens. I think most creatives, your dream space, your dreamscape is a very
Mm,
active place, and it's often like the catalyst for things.
mhm.
So that's not a unique idea, but I think the way I'm gonna reframe how I was gonna say that.
Okay.
I was gonna say the way the dream rode me.
Alright. I mean, people might understand that.
Yeah, like, the way it really did, it would not get off of me even when I wasn't asleep,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
Um, so the way that it just stayed in my spirit, I couldn't shake it. I mean, I have ideas for things that kind of just
Right.
run through my mind at any given time all day.
Mhm.
But this one is like I fell asleep, dreamed about it, woke up. The characters were
Dreamed
still
about it.
whispering to me, would go back to sleep, would start dreaming about it. So the characters were the loudest before I
Mm.
even really knew where the plot was taking me.
Okay.
I was hearing certain characters like whispering, and I was like, okay,
Mm.
so either this is a spiritual thing or I got to get this written or it's both.
Or you're going crazy. No.
Or I'm going crazy. Right. So it was one of them things. Um And that was, I wanna say the beginning of 2023 when that happened, or late 2022, somewhere around there, is when I first had the dream, and then it just kind of took off from there.
Mhm. Mm. And okay. And so how was that showing up throughout the process?
So it would look like there was a pattern, so I would have a dream. Oftentimes, I would wake up in the middle of the night. I don't know if you remember this. I'm usually a very sound sleeper. Like, I just be
Mhm.
out, fall asleep quickly, and
Mhm.
and that's it. Um,
That
but I
has
would wake
shifted during this
that yeah,
process.
for
Yeah.
sure, it has impacted my sleep. So I would have my dream, I would wake up, I would be on my phone taking notes. Like, whatever was in my head at that time, I would just drop it into my phone, go back to sleep. Sometimes I would return back to a dream, which is not supposed to happen, I hear, but it happened a
Mhm.
lot. I'll go back to the same dream or different parts of the dream, and then I just wake up
Okay.
in kind of a cycle. I'd go back and jot notes. A little further into it, the dreams started spacing themselves out a little bit more.
The more you got written?
Yes, the more I got written, the dreams would not happen as often, and I think
Okay.
when that first started, I froze, and that's probably when that first big lull happened when I people were asking, like, my friends or people were asking, like, "Are you still, like are you writing?" And I'd be like, "Ooh, I haven't touched it for a few weeks," and then
Uh-huh.
those few weeks probably turned into, like, a month and a half or so, and because I didn't have any dreams, and I had written
Right.
probably the first 50 pages or so, and the dream just wasn't there, and I was like, "Okay, like, what's happening?"
Mhm.
But then I would have another dream, and then just downloads started happening once I got, like, about 75 pages in. So I was dreaming about it, waking up feeling like I had, like, downloaded all this material that I
Uh-huh,
could
uh-huh.
literally kind of sift through in my brain and watch happen,
Mhm,
and that happened throughout the whole writing process until the end. Yeah.
mhm.
So that's how the dreams kept coming.
Thank you for sharing that, and you mentioned a word that I wanna go to, and we don't have to talk about it a lot because I know you're gonna talk about it in one of your other episodes, but you called it a lull, and, I'm assuming you're referring to a moment that others might refer to as writer's block.
Mhm.
More commonly known. How do you differentiate between what folks call or describe, identify, experience as writer's block? How have
Mm,
you reframed that? And what do you do during that time?
yeah, that's a great question. So, my experience of writer's block historically has been, I think, what most people's experience of writer's block is, where you feel like you don't have nothing. Like, you just
Mhm.
can't even if you have an idea, you can't actually get the words from here
Going to
to the
paper.
pen or to
Yeah.
the typing
Oh,
on the
yeah, that's
keyboard.
true. We
But I think the further I got into writing as a whole, like writing poetry or anything, I think I started playing with the idea of it's not an actual block. It's more so your creative energy asking to move in a different way. And I
Mm.
saw that happen or experienced that happening a lot with writing Synchrony. I would go through maybe a week or two where I'm just like at my laptop or on my tablet,
Right.
um, creating away, and then all of a sudden it would kinda just dry up, but instead of panicking this was after the
Mm.
initial time this happened, because the first time
Okay.
it happened, I didn't very much so panic, but after that first time and I, spoke to myself, spoke to ancestors, and just kind of was like, "What's going on?" Um, it's like, "No, you're not blocked, it's just your energy needs to move in other ways." So then
Right.
I would create a playlist that my characters I know would vibe out to, and I would listen to that playlist and get inspired. I'd listen to it in the shower and get inspired. I'd read books. Like my reading increase, and I love to read, y'all. Like reading has always been my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
I haven't read as much as I have while writing this book. I
Mhm.
had been years since I've, like, actually had the time or taken time, made
Mhm.
the time to read as much as I have while writing, and some people don't do that. I think they're
Mhm.
afraid that it will kind
Yeah.
of
It'll
impact.
infiltrate their thoughts, they
Yes, it'll
say.
infiltrate their own creativity. It doesn't infiltrate mine, it more so, like, stokes the fire a little bit. I think
Oh, interesting.
it's just another way of creativity because for me, what I think of reading is like inhaling and then writing is the exhale. So the more I read, I'm able to
Ah.
like tap into that creativity.
Ooh, yeah. That was wait, you can't just skate past that. I need you to say that again. You said you view writing as reading as inhaling,
Yeah.
writing as exhaling.
Yeah.
So what happens if you're not doing one of those?
Oh, if I'm not reading and writing, I feel stagnant.
Mm.
I'm usually more irritable. I am just heavier in my spirit
Mhm.
if I'm not doing that.
'Cause you're not
And just my
breathing, I
total,
guess, right?
yeah, for sure. So my total wellness feels off balance if I'm not writing and or reading, preferably both.
Interesting. So, another fun question, which is your favorite? If you had to choose reading or writing? And if you think you wanna come back to that at the end, we can come back to that, but I wanna answer to If you had to choose, which one would you choose? Would you choose to read forever or write forever?
You know
Only
what?
one.
I have an answer to that. I would
Okay.
choose to read forever.
Wow,
I
okay.
would. I think reading unlocks so many worlds. Like, you can go anywhere.
Mm,
You literally you can for me, when I'm reading, I transport to other places. So, you can literally
mm.
go to so many places when you read. So, I can't imagine life without being able to
Mm.
read. And I can always write things in my head. Like, I don't have to so I can still be creating.
Okay, technicalities.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so that's that. Great question.
So it's interesting. Great answer. So it's
Mm.
interesting that you described this phenomenon, if you will, of reading and writing as breath, right? Synchrony, the title, sounds like breath. It
Ooh.
sounds like alignment, right? It
Mhm.
sounds like a rhythm, like a right
Mm.
synchrony.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I have to ask, what does the word mean to you? And how did it become the title?
Yeah. So first of all, I love that description of synchrony. I don't think I've really listened to the way phonetically it
Mhm.
sounds, but yes, it does sound like that. So synchrony means two things happening at the same time or multiple things happening at the same time. So something that's synchronized, and synchrony is just another form of that word. And that is for sure the main point of, or one of the main points of this book is multiple timelines occurring, multiple
Uh-huh.
universes occurring at the same time.
Mm.
Um, and we're in this age in 2025 where, thanks to amazingly talented authors, such as the one who wrote Game of Thrones, um, we're in the times where most titles are long. They're longer, like Song of Fire and Ice, or like something very like long and flowy and poetic and lyrical. And I love those titles, but I was like, I don't want it to get swallowed up. I don't want my book title to kind of get swallowed up by all these other amazing, long, lyrical, poetic titles. And y'all know I'm a poet, so I can come up with I could have came up with something,
I mean,
but
that's a title.
it is. But I was like, I want it short and sweet. And
Mhm.
synchrony, it felt right. So that's where that came from.
And we love this. For me, synchrony, the title being doesn't need to be long to say everything.
Yeah.
And synchrony says everything in one word.
Right.
So I feel like that is poetry,
Mm,
right? So, all right. Are we ready to move on to a little bit more detail about the book? And of course, only reveal the things that you feel comfortable revealing. But I
mhm,
do, we talked about kind of the rhythmicness, the soul, the beat of the book. So I want to talk a little bit about that. So, um Synchrony, at least from the pieces that I've read, from what I've heard you talk about, I'm so excited to read the book in its entirety. There feels like a sacredness about
mm,
this book as well, right? Can you walk us through just a couple of the core themes of synchrony that synchrony explores, and
mhm.
why you felt particularly called to these themes?
Yeah, yeah, this is helpful for me actually, and I've read
Oh,
it.
well, I like to be helpful.
Yes, you do. I've read it so many times, but I haven't actually spent recent time really
Mm.
unpacking themes about it. So, for sure, Synchrony explores the importance of, but also the fragility of memory.
Mhm.
Memories are super important. I mean, we capture memory, we try to capture them. in pictures and video,
Right.
but the original memory base, there's nothing to replace that.
Right.
So what happens when, like, you lose faculty, of your own
Mm.
memory? It for sure explores relationships,
Okay.
friendships, and how life shifts when your relationships are also being manipulated. What else? It explores the concept of we are not the only ones here, like, on this
Mm.
on this plane.
Okay.
There's so many other things happening simultaneously. I mean, some people don't believe that. I know what I know.
I only know
Uh,
what I know,
I
so.
only know what I know. What else does it explore? Control and what happens when
Mm.
you feel like your control is threatened.
Alright,
Self-autonomy.
you only supposed to be giving
Okay.
us
You're
a
right, you're
few.
right, you're
You
right,
only
you're
supposed to
right.
be giving us, don't give us all of them, because you want people to watch the episodes.
You're right. You were very right.
You want people to
Just a
watch the
little
episodes,
bit.
but I think it's important for people to, just to get an idea, and it actually makes me wanna go back just a little bit. So, can you tell us, because you just told us a little bit about the themes, I do wanna highlight the last one you just said that I might have cut off, self-autonomy. So,
Yeah.
if folks are interested in self-autonomy, this also a theme in Synchrony. Can you go backwards a little bit and tell us what you are calling Synchrony, as far as, like, what is the genre or
Mhm.
genres that
Yeah.
Synchrony falls into?
Yeah. So, to quote Linda Martell on the Beyoncé Giselle Knowles Carter Cowboy Carter album,
Uh-huh.
um, Linda said something about not synchrony, genres being a funny little thing. Um, so synchrony is not just one genre, it is for
Yeah.
sure a blend of um speculative horror, psychological thriller, urban fantasy. I think those are the three main genres that play in the sandbox of
Mhm.
synchrony. I think there's some general literal fiction that happens
Okay.
in synchrony, and that's the whole, like, the lyrical writing, like, that's when the poet in me, I think, comes out most is in the
Ah.
general lit.
Yeah.
But as a child, my favorite thing to read were horror stories, thriller
Okay.
stories, but I never tried to write it literally until
Mm.
synchrony, which
Wow.
also is very strange that that's the first
Mhm.
manuscript that I finished. Yeah, those are the main genres.
Okay. Love that, and that'll be, good notes for people as well. So, to move us ahead just a little bit, I've seen how, I have the privilege of living with you. So I have seen how intuitive you are in life. This book feels deeply honorable to that intuition, especially with when I hear you talk about how you received this book and how
Mhm,
things showed up throughout how sacredness showed up throughout your process. So,
mm,
how does time, because I know this is also a thing, right? That you're probably going to talk about down the line, but how does time, particularly divine or non-linear time, show up in Synchrony? And would you
mm.
consider that a theme?
Oh, man, how does time show up? In so many ways. Wish this book was out so that folks could, like, have it read and I could, like, really talk about it. 'Cause I feel like I have to, like, be super careful with what I'm saying as far as time goes.
Yeah, don't just give us a taste. Just give us a
Mm.
taste.
So you know that things are happening, like, parallel at the same time. So
Mhm.
that's one thing. Earth functions like time functions normally.
Okay.
On the origin, which is not Earth, which I can
Okay.
share, there's no concept. Like, time is just
Ah.
it's
Oh,
they're
so that's
aware.
where Mariah Carey is from.
Oh, wow. That's also where I'm from
That's where
because,
you're from
me and
too, yeah.
time we have a time because
That's
but
hilarious.
yeah.
Okay.
So in the origin, there is no concept of time.
Got it.
Mm.
Oh, I can't we have to do another interview when the book has already been
Oh, for
out for a little
sure.
bit, because I have some other questions that are burning that I just can't ask because people have to read it. So, I'm gonna move us forward into your process,
Okay.
right? Wait, sorry, wrapping up my previous question, would you consider time a theme?
Um,
Or is
I
it just something that okay, sorry, go
so
ahead.
the English teacher in me is just gonna make a little note here that when I'm teaching theme to students,
Uh-huh.
I try to steer them away from one-word themes. One word is
Okay.
not a theme per se, like, the theme of a
Okay.
book tends to be a whole sentence, like a whole idea. So, that
Okay.
case so I will say that time or being attached to time more so is a theme of Synchrony for sure.
Okay. All right. All right, sounds good. So, since we've already started talking about some of your writing processes, I would like to hear a little more about those. So, you know, can you throw out some time like you talked a little bit about waking up in the middle of the night, but like when were you writing? Like what times of day or night were you listening to things? You talked about reading other things, but were you also
Yeah.
listening to things? Were there any rituals that helped you like enter into and exit out of writing space, or when you were in those lulls, were there particular ritual? And talk to me a little bit about those the logistical stuff that went into
Mhm.
this.
So that shifted a little bit throughout the process. I think when I first started not actually drafting, like writing, but when I first started plot mapping and character
Mm.
charting, which plot
Put a
mapping is
pin in
just a
that. Those are gonna
yeah.
be some episodes, I'm sure. Okay, go
Yes.
ahead.
Blurbs and Verbs will for sure explore what plot mapping
Plat
plat
mopping.
mapping
We're plat mopping
mapping
over here.
like what plot mapping is and what character charting looks like for me. But so when I started doing that process, I think it was during I'll say normal people business hours. So I
Mhm,
was just like trying to sneak that in during the day whenever, I could sit down at my laptop or my this little book here. I
mhm,
was carrying it around. I have outlines like crazy in here. And it's so interesting to look back at those outlines and then see where the story has grown now.
mhm,
So I was just kind of writing during the waking hours. But then as I got more into the book and it started to really flow and I started creating playlists for characters, I would listen to those all the time. And in the shower or just
mhm.
whenever I'm listening to music, I would switch over to a playlist just to kind of keep the thought process going around a character or when I would get stuck with the scene, for me, that meant I needed to back away from actually writing
Mm,
and listen to something or leave myself a voice note to talk through, like, points of the plot
okay.
that were bothering me. And I would do that all throughout the day, and then even further into the writing process when I was actually drafting, I was staying up really late. You can attest to this. You would come upstairs and you would think I'm going to bed, and I'll just duck away into the office, like
It's
2,
true.
3 hours writing. Sometimes I would have my tablet in the bedroom while you and my Shaka baby was sleeping, and I'm still over there writing, and it's 2:30 in the morning, and you like, "Why
Yep.
are you what are you doing? Like, why are you still woke?" And then I think for the final, I would say maybe the final 25% of the book, the late night writing shifted to early morning writing. I don't know why, but I just listened, and
Oh,
whenever
yeah,
I
it
woke up
did.
it did.
It did.
Whenever I woke up, it could be 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. I would just get my little tablet or my laptop, and then I'd write until y'all woke up some, hours later. So it kinda ebbed and flowed like that, but
Yeah.
I definitely plot mapping, creating summaries and outlines, character charts, Pinterest boards, playlists. Yeah, all that was a part of the process.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, you even walking back through that because it helps me too remember, like and how much I think this it's also good to, partners are a part of the process,
Mhm.
and what impacts the creative also impacts the partner. So
Mhm.
it's good to think about those things. And I do remember the ebbs and flows, and I'm remembering the changes as you, because sometimes it's like you can be in the change so long you forget that it used to be. And
Yeah.
it did shift from like where we would go to sleep and you were still up writing to where we all went to sleep together, but then every time we woke up, you were out the bed. And it was like, "What?" And when
Yeah.
I say we, I'm talking about me and Shaka, if anybody out
Yeah.
there trying to be
That's the
funny,
we.
but that's the we. That's the we, Cache and Shaka. And so it's been interesting to be a part of those ebbs and flows. It's also
Mhm.
interesting to see how it affects Shaka because He,
He
um, he's so still on his routines,
Yeah.
and so he's like, "My mommy is out the bed, but Imma take her spot
Yeah.
and be here
My
until
favorite
so."
is when he would come in, like, he'll push the door open with his little nose and then just
Oh.
come and plop down on the rug and just watch me for a while as I'm writing. I love that.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard as a partner because you miss the person and stuff like that, but I
Mhm.
also understand because as a business creative, I wake up a
Yes,
lot
my
in the
love.
night with ideas, and I'm like, "I'm not gonna get back to sleep if I don't get it out. I have to get
Yeah.
it out and down on something."
Yeah.
So,
And I
it's not the
think
same as writing for hours, but yeah.
in our younger years, I feel like that would have wildly annoyed me. Like you waking up and like but now it doesn't. It doesn't annoy me at all, but for sure I've woken up and you were like in business mode and I'm like groggily like waking up out of this beautiful sleep and I'm like, "What are you doing?" You like, "I had an idea. I had an idea and I got to get it out." And I'm like, "Okay." And I love you. And then I just go back to sleep.
Yeah, I think with any type of creative, people have to be understanding of that. Like, you have to get the ideas out when they come. Otherwise, they
Yeah,
might go and not come back. Or
right.
it'll be gnawing at you and you'll just be tossing and turning all night anyway. And you don't want that energy
No.
in the room either. So rather you just go get it out and come back when you're done.
Yeah. Mhm.
This is probably this question. I came up with this question, of course, before the interview, but I'm feeling like I kinda already know the answer after hearing some of your previous answers, and that is, like, were there any moments that felt like instead of you writing the book was writing you?
Yes. I actually shout out to everyone, all of my new writer friends on Threads. I actually posted that on Threads. I wanna say, like, in February at some point.
Mm.
Um, I posted I don't know if this book like, if I'm writing this book or if this book is writing me at this point. And I can't even explain, like, what that means, but all I know is that I'd be writing, and something in me would just shift. It would feel
Mm.
different. Either my energy shifts into like a more positive space if I were in a negative space. It would often, like writing this often would stop me from ruminating on things,
Mm.
and
You mean
I'm a
like things
Cancer.
going on in the world?
Yes, ruminating on things in the world, and
Okay.
I'm a Cancer, so our Cancer brains, Cancer moon, Cancer sun, Cancer Mars, that's a lot of Cancer. So those that rumination is for sure I'm prone to that, but I feel like over the 2 years that I was solidly working on this book, my 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 tendency to ruminate has decreased. And so I
Mm.
feel that in a way the book has kind of reshaped me as a being. Also writing me because it just holds a lot of beliefs that I have, but have not
Mm.
necessarily explored until this book asked me to, or
Oh,
invited me
interesting.
to, or allowed me to explore. Um,
Is there anyone that you wanna share, or you wanna save that?
um, I'll save that.
Okay. No, I love that. I love that. I love that. Okay. So, moving forward into I can't believe we're, like, coming up on towards the end of this interview. We've been talking for quite some time now already, but We got 10 to 15,
Yeah.
20 minutes left. I got some more questions, y'all, so don't trip yet. But it's just I'm thinking about how quickly this time has gone by and how much I also like so many questions I have that I just cannot wait until the book is out to be able to ask.
Yeah, me neither.
But what I will say is that there are some elements of this book that feel very unapologetic
Hmm.
in nature. And I wanna ask, I'm not gonna put anything out there because again, we wanna keep people coming back, but how, if at all, have your identities, your personal identities, guided, if at all, your voice and
Hmm.
shaping at all of the universe that is now known as Synchrony?
Such a great This is why I asked you to help to do this interview. You or Kiki Palmer, like, y'all the only 2.
Ah! Come on, Kiki. Come on. Me and Kiki need to do an interview of each other. Oh my
I think
gosh.
yes, that would be amazing because 'cause y'all asked some great questions. So, I think there's a little bit of me in every character that I
Okay.
wrote in this book. So, there's something, either a personal identity, something that I struggle with, something that I don't struggle with. One of my characters for sure, and I can't wait till y'all read this book because y'all gonna be like, "Oh, this is her. This is this is her." One of my characters got a mouth on her,
Ah.
like the sarcasm, the wit, but also I think folks in my circle, y'all are all gonna be like, Chanel, wait a minute, this feels like something I would say or something I would do, you know? So, like, also from, like, my circle's identities, from folks that I love, from the communities that I come from, love, and think need way more representation, are all up and through this book, very visible and, like you said, great word, unapologetically.
Mhm.
So I think it's all within the not even just the character building, but the world building is very much so mirrors the communities that I love and through my perspective, through perceptions of mine that I
Mhm.
hold. And they do not feel very overdone. I think they're underdone, underrepresented in the literary world. Not to say that I'm the first by any means.
Mhm.
There's many, many, many queer Black femme writers in the space who are also writing queer Black speculative fiction. I just think the way I try to invite my reader into the world feels a little different, and in some ways, I'm shoving you through. Like, you don't have a choice but to
If you gonna be here, you gonna be here.
if you're gonna be in this world, you're gonna be in this world, even when it's difficult, and I'm expecting for a certain thing or two to be very difficult for some folk, and they gonna have to sit and grapple with it and be like,
Mm.
"What is she doing to me right now? This is
Oh,
frustrating me." But you're gonna do it because the payoff is there.
I love that. I love that. And yeah, and I love what you just said too. The way that you invite your reader in, there's such a tenderness and like a powerfulness, at least that I experienced in my readings, um, with which I think your universe, the universe of Synchrony, holds what
Hmm,
we would call love, whether that's
mm,
love of self, love of one another, love of ancestry, love of space, you
hmm,
know? How has, if at all, because I could be misreading this, but how has love informed this project? And how
hmm.
has how has love informed this project? I'll leave it at that for now.
So I have a deep love. I think you started this whole interview by saying something about my storytelling, and I
Mhm,
have a love of storytelling has been with me, I think, since I was 3, because that's when I started reading. And I am a firm believer that the strongest writers are also the most avid readers. So my love of just storytelling as a whole, I think, shapes this work. I think the love between people who are willing to give themselves over to the art of love
Oh my
is
god.
heavy in this book.
The art
Mm.
of love. I'm sorry, I gotta sit with that for a minute.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? I never thought about art as a I mean, love as an art, but it is.
It's an art form.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it scares a lot of people. It scares some people in this book, for sure. Um, I think the love of power is
Mm.
is really it's really apparent in this book. The love of the facade of control is also
Mm.
apparent. So love just and the love between some of the characters is just so loud and so palpable, tangible, you can feel it. Or at least my
Mhm.
hope is that readers are able to kind of even characters that go at each other's like neck in not very loving ways. It's like, oh, there's something here that y'all got to work through so that you can then get to where y'all really want to be, which is in that loving space. So I feel like love actually guides either love or the misunderstanding of love or the lack of it. Those 3
Mm.
ways it shows up heavily in this book.
I gotta sit with that. I'm sure I got some follow-up questions in the next interview. Right now, I will say, and this is for my listeners as much as it is for yours, would you say that Synchrony is a part of a liberation journey
Oh,
for you
yes.
and or for others?
Yes. Actually, yes. I will say that. I don't know that I've thought about that until you asked me that question, so thank you for that question. I do. I think Synchrony first, it liberated some of my brain space. I don't have as much brain fog, and that's real. Like, there were moments where I would just doze out, days out, staring out the window because something is, like, speaking to me. So, it for sure it liberated, freed up some space. But and I think the journey of writing it and of getting out of my own way was
Mm.
liberating. I don't know if I actively self-sabotaged myself. I don't know if I actively self-sabotaged, and that's why it has taken so many years for me to finish a book, or if I needed to free myself from, one, thinking that everything needed to be perfect in order to put out the book.
That's a word.
That's a word. I also freed myself from certain stresses and liberating myself from like being like ruminating on things, I think freed up some creative space in me. So that in
Mhm.
that way, the writing journey on itself has been largely liberatory. I think for my readers, who I cannot wait to meet and to engage with, even those who may hate the story, I feel like it's going to liberate um even the way the story is laid out, at least right now. Now I don't
Mhm.
know what a publisher might look at me and be like, ma'am, we need you to like go by certain publishing standards. I'm gonna fight for the way it's laid out right now because it feels
Mhm.
right now there are no I'll go ahead and say it. There are no chapter headings. There's no chapter numbers. So it's liberating you from the actual like, oh,
Mm.
things are contained in chapter one because that's a constraint of time, and that's not what this book is
Mm.
doing.
Oh, people going,
So
"Oh."
So even the way it's laid out, I think is liberatory, but for sure some of the journeys that the reader's gonna go on, I think will liberate the mind just to kind of think on things like, "Ooh, what if this is actually happening? Like, what if?" And I think that journey is very liberating.
I I'm so excited. I am so excited. Okay, so I'm going to ask a question, and I don't know if you'll be able to answer this
Oh,
right now.
Lord.
If there is one passage or line that gives you chills, Something that made you pause when you wrote it, or something else,
Mhm.
made you shout, made you whatever. Would you mind sharing that with us?
Oh, goodness. Okay. Let me let me look and let me think. Um, something that gave me
Something that gave you chills, something that, you wrote it and you was like, cause you just mentioned, like, there's some parts, that I know you can't wait to engage with your it doesn't have to be one of the deepest parts, but just a part that you can't wait
Hmm,
to engage with your readers on. Like, "Oh, I can't wait
okay.
for my readers to read this line," or, yeah, you don't give us too much.
Hmm. Um, I'll just not go too deep and I'll start with the prologue.
Okay.
I'm not gonna read the whole prologue. It's just the last, what is this, 2 sentences?
Okay, that's perfect. Let's do that.
So everything you know about the universe is merely a shadow of its actuality. Dark matter is only dark to those who haven't been invited to witness what thrives behind the veil. Thus, Earth inhabitants have no authority on the origin. The universe will never be held captive by what it gave birth to.
Mm.
See? I
I
just feel like
can't
that sets the stage
wait.
for it. It sets the stage for it, I think.
I cannot wait. Y'all chew on that. All right, Chanel, author of Synchrony. When someone finishes the last page of Synchrony, the last page of your first published book, closes the cover, sits back in their chair or in there on the grass or whatever, what do you hope lingers on their heart or on their mind or on their spirit?
Mm. I think I hope and that folks are a little bit more open to exploring the thought or the concept that this is not all that there is. I think that's my main thing that it helps folk kind of grapple with, although I think many of us believe in that, but if there are some others that
Yeah.
I can bring along to the that side of things. And I think the power of what love can do.
Mm,
Like what loving someone and loving yourself can do and like can reciprocate, like if that reciprocity is there and if you lean into it and allow it to unfold, like what love can do. And I'll end with just the overall fierceness of Black women and Black
mm,
non-binary people, the fierceness of us. Like,
mm,
we do anything, like, anything we put our minds, hearts, and magic to, we can
mhm.
make anything happen. So I think that those things are for sure what I want to linger long after you read the book.
Oh, I love it so much. I love it so much, and so as we move into closing out, I wanna know, let people know how they can, because this is for my listeners and my watchers, my viewers too, right? So how can people support you? How can they stay connected beyond your YouTube page?
Mhm.
Um, and how do they prepare for the book release?
Let me see if I can remember because I feel like I've initiated a lot of new ways to contact or to ways to follow me
Okay.
lately. So I don't know if let me see if I can remember all of them. So of course, Blurbs and Verbs on YouTube, which is where most of y'all are watching this now.
You got a website?
Yes. Yes, I do have a website that is chaneltimmons.com. My IG is a vibe specialist. I'm also a vibe specialist on Threads. That's really where I be talking about some stuff, like the whole author writer journey. I go back and forth a lot with folk on Threads about the whole literary. world, so please find me there. Once again, a vibe specialist. My Substack that I just opened, I think was that on my birthday? I think I made my first
Something
post.
like that.
It's also vibe specialist. The Substack name is The Fringe, which when you read the book, you'll understand where that comes from. So subscribe to that, to a vibe specialist over at Substack. And you can find my Substack linked on my Instagram and on my thread. So that's an easy link, or on Facebook or on my website. Actually, it's not on my
And
website. It
here on
will
the
be
YouTube page, you'll put all
here on the
your
YouTube page. I'll
okay.
have everything linked here. Yeah. So that's where y'all can find me and join. If you subscribe to my
Substack.
Substack, that's
Yeah.
largely where I'll be talking about, like, the publishing process. Because right now it's in the beta reading phase, and then from beta reading, I just found, who I think will be an amazing editor for the project, so it'll go into editorial phase, then I'll start querying for agents, and so the Substack will kind of follow that whole process of finding an agent, finding a publisher, getting it published, book release shenanigans
And the
and
YouTube
parties.
page is also the YouTube channel is
Yes.
also you're gonna document, but also you're gonna be just talking through like what these processes even are, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to give a little shout out to you for doing this, and the reason I know you're going to talk about this. I have talked about it in your first episode, and we'll talk about it continuously. But just in if this is the only episode people watch, just a little bit about why you felt it necessary to step into the YouTube space and
Mm.
offer this perspective from your lens. Just in
Yeah.
case, again, this is the only, I know it won't be, but if this is the only episode that people watch, give us a quick
Yeah.
bit on that.
So just quickly, I think the reason why I decided to start Blurbs and Verbs, and Blurbs and see, I was about to go into it. I was about to go into the history of it, but just to make it short and sweet, is I wanted to see Black writers and Black authors talk about the craft, talk about it candidly, transparently, passionately,
Mhm.
and consistently. There's not enough of us talking about it on YouTube. I've found a few, um, and I'll definitely link to them or mention them, but we can, should, and I believe will take up more space on YouTube and wherever else we can take up space and
Mhm.
share how we write, why we write, and what we write. And instead of just complaining about it or, like, continuing to, like, search and be irritated with the fact that I wasn't finding an abundance of, I decided to contribute to what's already there and hopefully, you know,
Got
help
a
set
little of
it off
that
even more.
Spellman-Timmons business spirit in you.
Oh, yeah, I got that from you, my love.
and what I'm excited about is not only to hear you in the space, but for you to do exactly what you just said. Shout out and bring in others. I imagine
Yeah,
you'll
for
probably
sure.
bring in folks who are like who you're connecting with on threads, who might
Yeah,
also who
I'd
are
love to.
probably not like on YouTube a lot and stuff. And there might, and everybody also doesn't wanna be on YouTube, but if you
Right.
get to bring them into a space onto your channel, then
Yeah.
we all benefit from that. So, I'm excited about that because I'm also always looking for Black, Indigenous, and other people of color writers because I think that it has contributed to my lessening in reading actually a little bit,
Hmm.
and I still love to read, but I often don't finish, but and you know this, like, I don't read a lot of fiction, and I think one
Yeah.
of the reasons is because well, there's a lot of different reasons, but I'm looking for a particular type of BIPOC authors
Mm.
when it comes to fiction that
And there's so many.
right, and I was gonna say, it's
There's
not that
so
I was
many.
it's just that I'm not privy to it, doesn't mean that they're not out here, they're not
Yeah.
promoted, and
Yeah.
so one of the things that I'm looking forward to about your page is being a place for to promote that as well, so that we're not out here like, "Where are they? Where are they?" If it wasn't for us being bookstore aficionados, I probably
Mm.
wouldn't know about so
Yeah.
many because they're not in the big bookstores, they're not on social or at least not promoted heavily on social media, and so if you're not in the world, you don't get you don't get that information, so
Right. If you're not
bef
in the world or if you're not in certain social media pockets that explores the indie, like
yeah,
the indie route,
yeah,
independent authors, because that's where so many Black creatives and Black writers are, largely because of the gap
Yeah.
between our creativity and the publishing world, right? The large publishing world. And we're having that conversation, like, we're having that
Right.
conversation in all over the place, but, yeah, I would love to use my YouTube channel and the launching of Synchrony as a way to just bring so many voices to the forefront, because that's where we belong.
Absolutely. So, my love, Chanel Spellman-Timmons, author of Synchrony. I just want to say I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for not only finishing this book, but for the way in which you did it. You did it your way, and you listened. I'm proud of that. I am proud to have witnessed this process over the last 2.5 years. Watching this book come to life has and watching a different part of you come to life in the process of writing this book, watching you, like we said earlier, kind of breathe differently,
Um,
it's been an honor, and I love you so much, and I'm so excited. So I just wanna say thank you for sharing this space, this opportunity with me. I wanna tell all my viewers and listeners to keep your eyes and ears open for
but
Synchrony. I'm sure there will be an audiobook that goes along with it, and hopefully Synchrony won't be the last thing. I know
no,
it won't
no,
be.
it won't be.
Everybody support the work, share the energy, share the love. Make sure you keep in touch
Mm.
with myself and Chanel. And now I'm going to hand it back over to you, since this is your page, to close our episode out. But thank you so much. I loved it.
Love, my love. I made the right choice, and that's for many things. I made the right choice, but specifically for asking you to host my first interview because the questions were amazing and the follow-up were spot on. Everything is just great, and I, really appreciate the way in which you navigate the whole thing, like, your excitement for Synchrony, the grace you've given me for being out of the bed at all the strange times to write. And not even just out of the bed, because just where I go creatively throughout the
Yeah.
day can sometimes it feels like I'm a little far away. Or at least I can imagine it feels like I'm a little far away. And I think you understanding that and giving so much grace around that as my partner is definitely something to appreciate, to value. I'm just thankful for you being a part of this whole process, and I'm gonna be super thankful and super excited to party about it and to celebrate it. So thank you so much for this interview. I love you. I more than love you. Hi
I
to all the
more than love
Liberation
you.
Session listeners.
Uh-huh.
This will
And
probably
Shaka Bubba too, but
he didn't make an appearance today.
he
I'm a
didn't
little
make an
bit
appearance
shocked.
today. Nope.
But that's okay. We can go down and see him. Blurbs and Verbs listeners, thank y'all so much for sticking around for this whole interview. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you go back and watch the first interview and stick around for what is soon to come. Y'all don't want to miss it. Bye.
Bye.